Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Vinny Costa, editor of Street Muscle Magazine and your host of the RodCAST, the all-encompassing car show where we talk about all things automotive. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Greg Costa, editor of Engine Labs and the all-around tech guru. What's up, Greg?
Oh, not much. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Excited to do another episode. I think we're getting pretty good at these now, man.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I can say that with confidence. This is episode like 56 or something like that now, right?
I believe 56, yeah.
Wow. That's a lot of episodes, man.
It is.
My teachers always told me that.
2 years of syndicated TV.
Dang, dude. That's cool. Maybe one day we can. And my teachers always used to tell me I talk too much. What do they know? Anyways, this episode is a special one. We get to talk to somebody who I've been wanting to talk to for a long time. His name's Allyn Pierce. You guys at home might know him better as _Pandra. That's his Instagram handle. He's an off-roader, but more importantly, he's an ICU nurse, among other things, a father, a husband, an all-around good guy. And he's got like a really, really harrowing story to tell about his job, his truck, and a wildfire.
Yeah, dude, he was all over the news. I mean, it was awesome. Like the story was just awesome. And you know, when they were telling it on the news, you know, obviously it's all feel good stuff, right, for the news, but it's still a really awesome story. Like I'm really excited to talk to him.
For sure. Yeah, it hits especially close to home for me, and I think you too. There was actually an incident when I was supposed to go up and visit you up in Prescott, but I couldn't get there because there were wildfires. And, you know, being from Southern California, I mean, it seems that they happen every year. You know, President Trump last year declared it like a national emergency. And so, you know, I mean, these things are no joke, but they're all over the state. And Allyn just happened to live up in Northern California where those fires took place. I'll wait and I'll let him tell the story, but suffice to say, you know, he deserves our attention. And
if people haven't figured it out by now, this is the guy that had the melted Tundra. Like,
oh, I'm sorry, I'm going on the assumption that people already know.
Yeah, the melted Tundra from the wildfires. This is him.
Yeah. So I know that you know, Street Muscle is obviously a magazine that caters to the muscle car crowd, and Engine Labs is, well, it's Engine Labs. But let's not forget that this is the all-encompassing car show. And so, you know, as someone who does a little bit of off-roading myself, Allyn's story is one that stuck out to me. And so I wanted to talk to him. I think his story is an interesting one, and hopefully you guys like it. Before we get there, I'd like to take a break and have a word from our sponsors.
Oftentimes, when we talk about performance fasteners, we talk about things like diameter and bolt material. However, the devil's in the details, as they say, and ARP's attention to the detail is what sets them apart in the marketplace. ARP's rolled threads use compressive force to form the threads, which not only makes a stronger thread and bolt, but also smoother threads over the easier to mass produce cut threads. Additionally, ARP doesn't form the threads until every other step of manufacturing and heat treating is complete in order to ensure the strongest threads possible in a fastener. This all results in a fastener that exceeds aerospace specifications for both strength and dimensional tolerances. To learn more about ARP's manufacturing techniques, you can check out the articles on Street Muscle Magazine or visit their site at arp-bolts.com.
Allyn Pierce, everyone, or as everyone might know you, the _Pandra. What's up, dude?
How's it going?
Good, man. Thank you for making time to do this. We really appreciate it.
No problem at all.
You know, your story is one that I followed closely as it was developing, and you're a person that I've wanted to talk to ever since I first started reading headlines about it. And before we get into the actual you know, events that took place, why don't you give us a quick introduction of yourself, who you are, what you do, and what brought you here today?
Allyn Pierce. I'm a nurse in Butte County, California, currently in Chico. I think on the days you were talking about, I was manager of ICU up at Feather River Hospital in Paradise. I drive the Pandra and now the Pandra Pro.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, okay. So walk us through, what time frame was this? This was in 2019.
18.
18, excuse me.
And November 8th, 2018.
Okay. So November 8th, 2018, take us back there. Basically what happened was it you were working like any other day. You knew the fires were going on. I guess I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah. Actually, I came into work around 7 for an early meeting, like a little bit before 7, around 7:30. My wife texted me and said like, hey, there's some big smoke out in the canyon, which our hospital, if you look on the map, is like directly on, like it actually slopes into the canyon. And I went outside. The meeting was on the ground floor, so I went outside and looked, and there was just big ash and a lot of wind. Like that morning I came in, it was kind of breezy, sunny morning. Sun's kind of coming up, and so this was kind of a shift and a lot of smoke. So the house supervisor, the top nurse in the hospital for all the patients, was coming out at the same time. She decided to call a emergency meeting, incident command. I haven't really thought about this stuff in a while. So incident command meeting, which is just a meeting that could happen in any kind of business when there's a situation where you bring in all the leaders to make a quick decision, and say it could be for power outage, it could be for flood. In this case, it was for fire. So there was a lot of wind now, and that was 7:30. About 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock was the meeting was called. By 8:09, during that meeting, all the execs and admin for the hospital were in the room. Our CFO was in contact with Cal Fire and Butte Fire, and we made the call. He made the call at about 9 minutes to evacuate the entire hospital.
Whoa!
And this was the fire originated in a town called Polga, like mountain town, just miles up the canyon from us.
Now, at the time,
PG&E transformer.
That's insane. But at the time, you were. Have you always been an off-roader? Like your truck was already kind of hooked up a little bit.
Like I was working on it. I don't know how even now, like how much I consider. I aspire to be a good off-roader. I learn a lot from the people around me. I'm more of, I think, more on the adventure end of things. The
reason I ask is because, I was just curious if you were familiar with that type of terrain. Were you aware at all, like how those things play out, what goes on in a fire like that? Or were you just not even thinking about any of that? We got to evacuate the whole building. What was going through your mind at that point?
Well, evacuation's not done lightly in a hospital. We had evacuated back in 2008. So you have a canyon. The fire had made it down the canyon, and the Cal Fire was able to like keep it from coming back up the hill towards the hospital and the town of Paradise. So this had happened pretty much 10 years ago. So that fire is a very real threat. This is not like I wonder if this will happen. It was more like, when is this going to happen? You build a town in the middle of the woods, things happen. Just this last year, the town of Berry Creek burned down. That's literally like right across the freeway down, from Chico and Paradise. So I think it's more like, just, why do I carry a pocket knife? Why do I carry a flashlight? Like, what, it's more, are you prepared for things to happen? Like, I need to be able to open a Amazon package at any moment.
Did you grow up in that area?
I did not. I'm a Southern California kid. So okay. I grew up in Riverside, San Diego. So living in the mountains is not I'd been there for over 14, almost 15 years. So I knew the area.
Very well aware of the dangers of wildfires and things like that.
Yeah. So back to the off-road and like anything like that, being aware of the area is more just being situationally aware of trying, you know, at all times, you know, like you know, we did things in our house, like we had the, you know, a certain amount of water, like mountain house things, and to not crazy amount of prep, but like enough that we'd be good for like several days, no problem. But also, you know, there's certain roads you definitely didn't want to be on, like in a situation like that. There's two main roads out of town, like two big main roads out of town. And by main roads, I mean like 2 lanes, you know, like yeah, like 2 lanes, maybe 2 lanes turning into 4 lanes, like further down the road. Because it's a small town. It's 25,000 people, mostly retirees and like young families. So it's a,
well,
yeah.
Just backing up a little bit. So you guys get the call to evacuate, right? Which you, as you mentioned, is not something that you guys take lightly. So, you know, oh man, this is really serious. You know, the fire's close. You saw the ash that morning. Where the hospital's situated, you knew they wouldn't be telling you have this amount of time to evacuate if it wasn't really close. Well, so then what happens?
Well, it's not even them telling us. It's like we talked to them and our CFO made the decision. So we all kind of were there for that. Like we saw, you could see the smoke coming towards us, and the wind had picked up significantly that morning. So yeah, I mean the whole thing is I knew the meeting was at 8. I swung by my unit. I have a 12 bed. I had a 12 bed ICU. I think we had, I want to say 6 or 7 patients at that time. Luckily, like a lot of them had either been downgraded or, you know, out of the unit, so they weren't that sick. So the ones we had there were still sick. I just swung by and said, "Hey, get the charts on the beds, get wheelchairs and gurneys next to the beds, ready to just, you know, get these patients over. I'm going to this meeting. We may be evacuating," like just from what I had been seeing. And it was a little strange for them, only because the side of the hospital they were on is opposite the fire. So on their side of the hospital, it was all bright skies and breezy outside. And then on the other side, it was starting to look like full hell. Like, so it was very strange. Like they had much different optics from it. And I'm not coming through going like, "We gotta get ready." You know, it's, you know, I'm staying calm, you know, for my team, and said, "All right, guys, get this, and this. Like, be ready to go. I'm gonna text the charge nurse the second I hear any information, and you guys are gonna go. And then I'm going to be over here to help you, because I'm just across the hospital. I can be there in like a couple minutes from the meeting place." And so they just immediately started doing that. So when they made that call at 8:09, like that was maybe 15 minutes from when I had talked to them, and they were already getting all that stuff prepared. Yeah, it was just pretty impressive. Like the whole hospital just went into motion, and I have a video of like the last ambulance leaving, which I believe had 2 patients in it at 9 a.m.
That's nuts, man.
The entire hospital cleared out of patients by 9 a.m.
How many patients total did you guys evacuate?
It's something around 60 or something. I can't remember. It was our hospital's a 99 bed. It was probably like 3/4 full that day.
Good Lord. So just for like my mental optics, you have one side of the hospital where a lot of people are, looking out these windows and it's clear. Out of the other side that you're describing, could you visibly see the fire, or was it smoke and stuff at that point?
I think it was more smoke at the point when we were doing the thing, but like we're talking like the backside of the hospital was dark and orange. Like when people saw videos that I shared with them, they're like, what time of night was it? But it was like 9 a.m. So,
Good Lord.
Yeah, it was just dark, just because, it was just clouds of smoke over here. And then when they had first started, they were wheeling the people through the hospital. And when they got out to the ER where they were transferring them to ambulances, and sometimes depending on how sick they were, to cars of like nurses and like the chaplain and doctors, they were picking up patients with full-on chest tubes still installed, and Foley bags and everything. Like these are like actual patients.
Good Lord.
They came out into this other side of the hospital where it was full on dark and orange skies, and like it was crazy.
So how many like actual transport, like hospital transport vehicles do you guys have, and how many people were being transported in?
I couldn't give you the details. I don't even know the details on that. I know there was a lot of nurses going to grab their cars, and once patients were queued up and started picking up like 2-3 patients at a time. And then there was ambulances, and they were, if they could, take more than one patient at a time. We had some patients that were intubated, and like, so they were breathing through a tube and sedated, and we're breathing for them. So that, those ones needed special care. So we had nurses on board with them, like dealing with that, breathing for them with a bag, because we didn't have have ventilators or anything. So because we're on the ambulance. So
exactly.
Yeah. It was pretty well. There's a lot of just kind of going with it and figuring out what the next move is.
Yeah, and then within like less than an hour, you guys got everyone out. That's incredible, man.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us what happened to your personal vehicle and your personal story, like as all this is going down, what you're doing during this whole time.
Well, what I'm doing, I'm helping my team get the patients out. Power shuts down in the middle of to the hospital. Generators for some reason don't kick in. I wouldn't know why, because they've always kicked in before. And we're getting all the patients out. So after patients are out, that's, number one's always patient safety. Two, as a leader, my team getting out and getting in their cars and out of there is the very close second. And then, just making sure the rest of our hospital, like team in general, is okay. Just so you have a focus. I used to work on merchant marine ships. So I was an officer in the merchant marine. So, this leadership from my dad onto that career, onto nursing, that was all kind of passed down, which makes it a lot easier when things are crazy.
Definitely. Even
when my head's crazy, I still have rules that you follow, that you adhere to, like make sure your team's safe. But what that means is, after all those people are out and on the road and on their way to, hopefully, to safety, at this point, the fire's on all sides. And then I was like, okay, I can leave now. So I get, with the entire hospital's emptied out. Like, me and the administrators and I were like the last ones out of the building. And then I'm literally walking down with my arms in front of me. So my team that's trying to talk to me, I'm like, stay ahead of me. Like, I need to keep eyeballs on you, that you're getting in a car and out of here. I finally get to my truck, and it's a Toyota Tundra on 35s and really good suspension. It's kind of on its way. It's not like by any means like even close to fully done, but at least wheels, tires, suspension, it can handle like moving through rough roads. But we're just going on the regular roads at this point. So a couple team members from the hospital are just kind of wandering around the hospital. It's getting kind of strange. Like, you're standing looking at the fire coming up the hill. Like, you just see the light dancing off the clouds, because the fire is down there, and it's sucking air behind you down in, towards the fire. And then above you, the smoke is like going above, like it's changing the full weather in our area. And all around us, anything that's green or that can set on fire is like ashes are hitting it and setting on fire. So like outbuildings of the hospital are catching flame, trees in their parking lot, like everything is just bursting into flames around us. And it sounds wild, but like everything that could burn was starting to burn.
It's crazy.
So I get a couple people from my team in the truck, and I was like, all right, we're heading out. The guy in the truck with me was very nervous. I never say their names because they were losing it a bit. But he was super nervous. He's like kind of rocking in his seat, and I'd worked with him for years. He's a badass, but he was just like, it was just tipped, something had tipped for him. And then I had another nurse in the back, and it just gave me a job. Since everyone was kind of getting nervous, I was like, it gave me a job. I was kind of glad I had him in the car. Gave me, I'm going to get them to safety, trying to keep them calm. I usually go with humor. that's my go-to. So, I'm like, oh, this is the last tour I'm doing, take pictures. And I was like, we're driving through town. It's on fire. Not through town, but through the backside of town where the hospital's at. So like, there's full like places like where you can see the canyon now because some of these houses are already burned. And there's one setting on, setting on fire like right near us, right around us. I don't know. It was just everywhere fire. So we're driving down the road, playing music for them. Like there's not a lot of signal, small town. So the cell signal, even when on a good day, is not that great. And we pretty much thought we were home free. We're going down Pence Road, which is the road that goes all the way down into the 70 that goes into Oroville. So it jumps into a regular size freeway at that point. But we didn't make it all the way down that road because a fire truck comes and blocks the road. So now we have to turn right down this road, Pearson, which has always been like just my nightmare road. I was like in an emergency, like I'd always been like, I don't want to be on this road. The signal goes dead and it kind of funnels down into like 2 lanes. You're going into a canyon within the town. And it's just a big choke point. But we got funneled down into that road, and then immediately you see the fire's already down there, and we're going into it, and then behind us the stuff around us is like catching on fire, and that wind I was telling you about is coming right down this canyon, right down this like dip in town. And so you're looking around and fire is literally burning sideways. You look to the side and like I had videos from my just that I was just recording on my phone because I had nothing else to do. And the fire, I'd like take my jacket down and show and the fire is just burning sideways. So there's a lot of trees in that area where the trees were actually green on top and the bottoms were all burnt.
That's not so. It was blowing across the road that you guys were on.
It was blowing like down the road, across the road. It was, it was kind of like a bad like sci-fi action movie. It was everywhere. Like there's explosions, there's fire tornadoes, there's there at some points there were electric poles where the bottom half had burned and like it was just hanging by the wire and like it was just crazy.
So as you're
going
driving
down into this area,
do you physically, how was it inside the truck? Do you physically feel like the heat?
Okay, so inside the windows, if you put your arm against the window, you'd leave your skin there. They were searing hot on the windows. And that's why I had a jacket on that morning because it was chilly, but I had the jacket like up against the window because the heat coming off the windows was pretty damn intense. And then, but I had my air conditioning all the way on and recirculate because but I was doing the best I could, and like it was a new truck. As far as, and then I'd never done this before, but like I was like, I might as well make it like as comfortable as I can. So actually, in the truck, felt pretty comfortable. And then then a fire truck kind of comes out, and so I'm like, okay, I'll follow the fire truck. It was like one of those medium-sized fire trucks. And so now I'm following this fire truck like slowly, and then it would pull ahead, and then there'd be fire like in the road. And I'd wait. And then, because that's based on a whole other thing. I'd seen this car like on fire in front of my house and the tires exploded, which is what woke us up in the first place. And so I was like, okay, keep the tires off the fire as much as possible. So I'd let vehicles in front of me go. And then I'd go across like, slowly, but not stopping on the fire. And that's how my tires made it through. People always ask that, like, because I would just be very aware of like how long they were on the road. But even then, sometimes we're getting pushed up next to the wall, like the wall of the little mini canyon there, and that was when the car got roasted, and you're seeing the side mirrors like melt off the side.
Yeah, exactly. I saw some photos of it, and like all the tail lights, the headlights, the side mirrors, basically everything plastic that's on the vehicle was just like dripping, melting.
Even the grill and everything. Like people focus on that one side, but the entire truck, like even the sides that weren't next to the fire, they were like, if it was plastic, it was like starting to melt.
Yeah, no, and then like the paint, I think like in some of your posts, you say that it looks like a burnt marshmallow or something, and it totally did. It was, I mean, it's cool to talk about now, but I can only imagine how you guys are feeling while all that's going on.
I didn't know what was happening. The only thing I saw personally that like I knew. I mean, if you saw some of the pictures, the fire was like right next to the window. But I'm moving the whole time. That's why it was like a perfectly roasted marshmallow, because I wasn't stopping when I was next to the fire, just like a good marshmallow roaster. And you just keep moving. You keep making small decisions. You keep making like, okay, this is what I need to do to get to this point. This is what, like, we're literally talking decisions that lead to feet of progress, like 10 feet, 5 feet, like, and the people in my car are freaking out. I find the fire truck gets stuck, and I pull up next to it. So now, like, because that wall was on fire, I pull up next to it. So now at least we're protected from that wall, but everything on this side's on fire, but at least it's not right next to the truck. There's an SUV that had been pulled over side. I don't know if it was parked or it had been pulled over. I told you about how I'd let the traffic gap out in front of me. Sometimes a car would pull in there, and one of them like fully set on fire. Like the bumper starts melting, and then the car sets on fire, and then the people have to get out and run down these roads, which I can't explain. Like, there's no way I can explain it, like, how terrible that was because I did have some friends that were trapped behind me on that same road. They were in a police car, and they tried to move a vehicle out of the way, and their car died. And so they were stuck on foot. It was like 4 of my friends were stuck on foot with this deputy, and like something that you know, in the inspiring stories that nobody talks about is like everyone was trying to figure out a quick exit when shit went down, basically. Like when it was like no more, because they were trapped on the road. I was in air conditioning. Everyone likes my story because I had a good picture at the end, but they were trapped on the road with no air. Like it would burn, like the air would burn away, and then they'd get a gust and they'd try to breathe real quick, and then it would be back to like this like simmering like oxygen being depleted, where it was enough to like shut down some cars and everything. So so I ended up on next to the fire truck, and then we see the fire truck, they're putting up their Mylar blanket, whatever, that are cut for the windows or something, and I'm like, that's not a good sign. And then that's when the people in my truck were like, you know what, he's like, I'm getting in the fire truck. And so the guy in the front gets out, and he gets in the fire truck. I'm like, yeah, do what you need to do. And the chick in the back was like, I need to take a chance. And she's like trying to open my door, but the door machinery had been like kind of melted shut. That door still doesn't open on that truck. So she crawled up to the front and got out into the fire truck. It's funny because people don't necessarily see this, but in the picture that got popular, there's like a little blue triangle like under my door, because she had dragged my kid's like blanket under the like out, when she was crawling out the front door, and got in the truck. And so then I was by myself, and that's when things got like really kind of, for me, that they got like extra, like a little extra real. Yeah. Now I don't have the distraction of the job of keeping these people whatever. And people asked why I didn't get in the fire truck, but it was purely because I was literally in front of people I work with and other people from my town. I wasn't going to get out and block that entire road with my truck. Right. So if there was a chance that I could move, I was going to move. And so that's why I didn't, it used to be hard for me to even say that part out loud, but yeah, you have to make these decisions, and it may have meant life versus death, but like everybody was making that decision that day. People focus on me because because people know about it, but everyone in that town was making some, these decisions to like move forward.
No, that's exactly what I was expecting to hear from you when I sat down and talked to you. I was like, I expect that he's going to tell me his story, but I know that there's a lot of people out there who went through similar things or the same thing as you that day. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, there was, the town was 20-something thousand people, and only 80-something recorded deaths in that area. I guarantee you there's more than that, but those are the ones they knew about. And and there were other stories. Like one of my nurses was in ambulance with there was a patient from a different unit, and that had been on the surgery table at the time. So she had no feeling she was on a backboard and no feeling on her legs, so she couldn't walk or move. And they had to park because they got stuck with another ambulance. That other ambulance caught on fire, there's fire coming across the road. They're trying to get these patients to some sort of safety, and had to break into this house. And this lady was a hoarder, and they had to clear out this garage and make a space and start defending this house while all the other houses around them were catching on fire.
Oh
and so like my story, like it sounds amazing to other people, but my friends that went through, like theirs is like exponentially worse what they were going through.
Well, let's not discount anybody's story. I mean, yours is, they're all equally harrowing, I think. It's insane what you guys dealt with that day. But I'm glad that you're here to tell us the story. And, I mean, yours has an automotive related spin to it. And that's why we're sitting down and talking. But just the fact that any of that happened, I live in Southern California myself. At the time I was living in Temecula when all that was going down. So, we were experiencing wildfires down here as well.
Southern California has its own wildfire history. I mean, even just those same days that they were dealing with the Paradise Fire, the Woolsey Fire was happening.
Exactly.
So, we're not a unique and special snowflake in this situation.
Yeah, man. It seems that that's just like one of the things that Californians have to deal with. Other states have tornadoes and like lightning storms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Our thing is like fire.
Yeah, we got fire,
earthquakes and stuff.
Fire, earthquakes, mudslides.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. Please continue with your story.
Oh no. So I'm sitting in the truck. At this point, when they get out, I'm pretty sure this is like. I'm like, all right, I did everything I could. I'm calling. My wife had actually gotten our kids out. Like she was the one who called me. She'd gotten our kids out probably before 8:00 that morning. So, but before I even had the meeting, she had called me. She had called someone. She worked over at OB there, the mother baby unit, and she was supposed to actually drop the kids off at school that day and come in and help because it was supposed to be a really busy day there. And she actually called. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, get the hell out of this town. Like,
smart lady.
Keep driving. And like, she had called her unit to see if they needed help because she's still a good nurse besides being my wife. And they're like, no, we've got this handled. Go, leave. And so she actually got the kids out. The kids didn't have to deal with any trauma of actually being surrounded by fire or anything. Although they did have to deal with me disappearing for 6 hours and absolutely not knowing what was happening while the news is playing this, like the entire town's on fire and football fields like a minute are catching on fire. It was just crazy. And I feel that's actually the part that hurts the most, like thinking about like that might, you do everything as a parent to like make your kids feel safe, prepare them, but make them feel like everything's going to be okay. And I got this. And my kids were, in that limbo of not knowing where I was. And, there's some, I get that it's not, I get that it's not real, that, that's like just an emotional response to that. But it's, it still makes me feel as a parent that I was like, I still feel bad for putting them through that.
Well, it sounds like, they have a father that, handles pressure really well. So they're in good hands.
Yeah. In the next 3 weeks, I can't say I handle pressure well, but after that, I kind of went crazy for a little bit. Yeah.
Well, so were you kind of like, no pun intended here, but were you out of the woods yet at that point, or?
At this point, I was like next to the fire truck. We're stuck. I'm literally recording videos to my friends and recording videos to my wife and kids, and hoping I can bury it somewhere in the center console where it'll make it, and just being like, hey, if this doesn't work out, I really tried. I just need you to know, you guys, I really tried to get back out to see you guys, and
bro,
it was very much like at that point, and I was tapping, and I think I'm comfortable telling this, but I was tapping on my wrist. I'm like, oh, I really wish I had like some fuck it button built in that I could be like, oh, when things start melting around me, I can just like, like click out, not suicide, but like I want to die like this instead of die in burning plastic, which kept circling in my brain. At the same time, I've got Deadpool 2 soundtrack going, which has all these like weird dark songs.
Did you this might be too personal of a question, but did you keep those recordings?
I have them, and I have not listened to them.
Yeah, I don't know if
there's some that I recorded that like on just Instagram stories and knowing that they weren't going to upload. And so just because I needed something to talk to. And then I like went to the actual video camera and like the video camera, camera app and recorded those. And I do have those in there, and I almost delete them all the time. But they're just in there. They're just sitting in my phone. Yeah, I'm kind of afraid
to watch. I think
I have this fear that I'm going to listen to it and I wouldn't have said the right things. I think that's, like I didn't say all the right things because I was in the middle of like, I really think I'm going to die. And I was like, I don't want to find out I didn't tell my wife I loved her enough or something. Like I really have like a big fear of that.
I think you probably did fine, man.
Yeah. Well, just getting out's fine.
Yeah.
So right around that time, you think it's done, fire truck's there, they've got their Mylar blankets. The lady holding these blankets designed to hold the windows, the one that got out of my car, like literally burnt her arm holding those. And even though the fire was nowhere near, I was on the other side of them, they were up here. There was no fire on anywhere near her side, but just the air was that hot. My friends that were trapped on the road, they eventually get picked up because this bulldozer comes down. And this is the bulldozer I talk about in my story. And this guy, I think Joe Kennedy, just badass from like Grass Valley. I'm 6'3", like 210. This guy makes me look small. And this guy is coming down in this tractor that's made for cutting fire lines. They're not made for moving vehicles and doing everything he was doing with it. He was just like getting to this fire truck and knocking vehicles out of the way. But he rolls up on my crew that was behind me. And one of the girls, she had like the entire patient list on paper, like in her pocket. None of my friends got burnt, the ones on this road, but the paper in her pocket was like singed. It was like it'd been held like next to a fire and was like all blackened and stuff. But somehow like they weren't burnt. Like, one of them had Apple Watch that never turned on again. Like it was just, they were in this level of heat that was not like designed for, things weren't even designed for this. So when I found out about him is when all of a sudden that burning SUV next to me that was kind of blocking any way off that road was knocked out of the way. And like I hear this crunch and I like look over, I like, pull my jacket down, and he's like, oh, and he's opened up this path like into the woods, like into this cleared area of the woods, because there's houses like kind of sporadically through these. And I turn around and I'm like, just book it back up the road. And like some of the people behind me like just follow along, and we get up to like the T, and I can go down Pants or back towards the hospital. I'm like, you know what? I know I can get to the hospital safer than I can. And then at this point, we're going over down trees that are on fire, like walls of fire. This is when those fire tornadoes were like blowing across the car, which is more dramatic looking. That it wasn't going to set my car on fire, but you're like, and I'm doing this like, oh, now we got to drive through a wall of fire, and a lot of this you couldn't see the road that well. But I've been driving on these roads forever, enough that if I saw little bits of landmarks, I could just. So the first trip down that I'm telling you, I was going pretty slow, but the way out, I was testing out that suspension, and as the people were kind of following me, not because I'm a leader, just because I was the first one able to turn around, and I make it, and I head all the way back to the hospital, to the parking lot. And
Jeez.
And there's a funny story with that bulldozer that I didn't know at the time when people were first interviewing me. So one of the nurses, they pile into this guy, this tiny little cab of this bulldozer, and he has this whole story. His whole story is crazy, but she gets in and bumps his iPad with her ass, and it switches screens. I don't know what happened, but it switches from, he had Street View on his map that he was following to get around to get to the fire truck that was trapped. And it bumps it into satellite view. And that's how he saw this area that he could clear. The one that I saw when he finally knocked that truck out of the way.
Oh, man. So he wouldn't
because of her butt literally saved us. It was amazing.
That's hilarious.
So we ended up back at the hospital.
How far of like that off-road trail did you guys have to go through to get back to the hospital?
not much, but at that point, you know, like it was a big, basically just go into like a little bit in the forest and turn around. And by then everything was off road. Like
right,
you know,
okay.
obstacles. There's full obstacles. Like we're going across like down power lines, trees, like full. It's just, you know, brushes on fire. You know, we were literally walls of fire. We were driving through. And
Yeah,
that, you know, like I said, that's more, as long as there's nothing behind it, that's more dramatic looking than it is, you know.
Yeah,
like,
but the visual,
the visual's crazy. The visual is insane.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we've got constant explosions of propane tanks going. Car tires, I learned, explode. You know, they explode like a full-on bomb, and like just explosions everywhere. Even the trees make like this like boom sound when they first catch on fire.
Man.
So it was just, you're just constantly like wincing. Like whenever I go to the range, like the first couple of shots, I hear someone fire next to me. I'm like, until you finally get used to it.
Yeah. No,
like,
I can imagine, dude.
So it was kind of like that. We were like, oh, and then after a while, you're just like living in the explosions like all day.
Man, so you guys get back to the hospital, and but I'm curious, like, what was I guess the path of least resistance took you to the hospital. Is that what it was?
In my head, it was the path of least resistance. Like I knew exactly what was between there and there, because we had just come down at like, this is all happening within an hour and a half, actually, even though we hadn't gone that far. But my last view, that was a clearer shot than I didn't know what was going on down that road.
Makes
yeah,
sense.
we get back to the hospital. We're kind of celebrating, like they're kind of twisted crew of people, you know, our humors, you know, we're just cracking jokes. And, you know, I actually made a video like on my truck because I hadn't seen it. And I got out, I'm like, whoa. And, you know, I'm like, oh, it is, you know, my kids are going to be so jealous of my perfectly roasted truck. And, yeah. And my one up, she dropped an F-bomb, which like, she's like, that was crazy. And this is not this is like a religious hospital, and they, you know, people don't cuss in meetings or anything. So it was kind of hilarious. And I like caught, you know, like I just missed it on video. And yeah, we were just kind of joking around. And when we started seeing people were showing up to our parking lot for help, either for sheltering out of the fire or just they needed help, and the hospital was shut down. We had like literally like closed it down and locked it up. So I got together with two of the other leaders and with our other group, and we broke back into the hospital. Like literally took the sliding door off and broke back in and started getting gear and building a triage unit out in front of the ER. So
wow,
it was pretty rad, because we had a surgeon, we had a ER doc, we had a pediatric doc, we had the leader. A lot of the leaders were there because we were the ones that were last out. So we were a lot of the ones that got trapped. So I had the leader of pulmonology, cardiopulmonology, leader of surgical, and we were kind of just coordinating these groups to go back into the hospital, get oxygen tanks, get, you know, for the people that are smoke inhalation or had reactive airways. And then they set up a clean room in the hospital, actually, with just air, where people like who are very like, you know, asthmatic or whatever could go and be in that room that was like a clean air room. We're breaking into the cafeteria and like just swiping drinks into carts and like food and bringing it out, and getting supplies out of the hospital, crash carts, gurneys out of the ER. And we're setting up like full on beds. Like the ER doc's like, make this look like a real hospital. She'd been military before that. So she was like, make this look, this will, just even seeing this will make people feel more like comfortable. Like, you know, so Definitely. We're setting up full gurneys and like literally putting sheets on them. And then I've got medics putting chairs out, you know, for the people that are less, you know, the more walking wounded and everything. And we're setting up our, you know, green, yellow, red, black areas and like full, you know, like we've always trained.
No, as you described it, it comes as no surprise to me that you know, she's ex-military, because as you're describing, I'm like, oh, that sounds like, you know, like a MASH unit or something. Yes. Like just, you know, put it together and then set up shop right outside. That's cool.
And that's what we did. We were like under the awning of the ER, and you know, we just had people coming in and different needs.
That's incredible, man. That's incredible.
And you know, just flash forward a little bit, the hospital catches on fire.
Oh, so no.
The fire department, the Cal Fire, badass. Everyone was amazing. Like, and on top of that, we're making these decisions coming together with like 3 different levels of law enforcement, CAL FIRE, like everybody all together. We make a decision and move out. There's nobody arguing. It was like, that's kind of, I was waiting for this, like somebody to like try to juke for a position, and we're just making decisions and moving and making decisions and moving.
Were you guys in communication with them during this whole time? Like, was there like an on-scene commander who was like talking to fire and like police?
At this point, it was very, I wouldn't say disorganized, but it was very much, let's get together. There's no, fire handled fire. Law enforcement was there for support and whenever communication could get through. I remember one of my friends, she's pulling out before me. I talked to her later. She's like, she was pulling out to the street and she's like, which way do I go? And the cop's like, I don't know. Because everything was on fire. Like, so nobody really had a direction. Everyone was just trying to get to where they thought was the place to be. And, and there was places where they were stuck in small parking lots and the fire truck was literally just spraying the cars down to keep them wet.
Oh man,
these small areas, because we're in the middle of a forest, so you'd find like a small opening or something, and people would like kind of gather there, and and on my road, cars were catching on fire, some with people in them.
Man, how lucky were those people in need, that all you guys were there still, right? Like, so I mean, as you described, like the challenges that you guys were facing, like nobody really knew the best way to get out or which direction to go. But you guys were still there to provide care, and fire was there to, do their thing, and police as well. It's awesome.
I was talking to one of my friends, they're like, it wasn't like, it was, for being a nurse, I've been a mechanical engineer, merchant marine officer, all those things. But like for being a nurse, that was like the best day. It was the worst day and none of us would want to do it again. But in serving the public and like what we've chosen to do, it was like literally the best. Like we're working at peak level for those like hours of that day to like make these people feel safe. Yeah, it was pretty rad. It was pretty rad.
I can only imagine. You must have felt very validated, or like, I don't know if you went, like when you went to nursing school, you're thinking like, man, these student loans, I bet, that day you were like, you know what, it was worth it.
Like if I wasn't full adrenaline for that many hours in a row, like I probably would have been thinking of that. But mostly it was a lot of like dark humor and cracking jokes with the different like fire and everyone. like literally, it was just, we're just in like, we've had hard days on the unit where people are crashing all around us. And we're doing procedures in the rooms and in like a regular day. And like, you're just kind of like, just trying to keep above water and like, and everyone keeps moving forward and hopefully someone gets donuts at the end of it. But yeah, so it was like that, except like, now we're just going to literally have that day and set fire under it. So everyone just has to keep moving. So fire says like the hospital's on fire. We have to move the group. So literally people started pulling up in trucks and we started moving these chairs, gurneys, equipment. And when we have a helipad next to the, let me see if I can find, I don't know. We have a helipad that's next to our parking lot. It's not on top of the hospital because of the way our hospital is built. And we moved all the equipment to the middle and moved all the patients to the outside of the circle. So let me see if I can find a picture of it. Yeah, so you can see there.
Oh man!
So we have all the equipment, and that fire is the hospital burning behind it.
Oh man!
And so on every side of us there is there's just flames. Like, like something's on fire, like the HR building was on fire, which didn't change anything. They were still just that good. But it was like everything, the canyon, the town, the hospital, like on all sides. So but I remember one of the firefighters wrote me later because, he just, he actually didn't know that his wife was my daughter's second grade teacher. But he wrote me, he's like, you guys look like you were in the middle of like hell/war, like, because they were fighting the fire on top of the hospital. They actually managed to save half the hospital, the bottom half part down the hill was just destroyed, but they actually managed to save like a lot of the newer parts of the hospital. And he's like, you guys look like you were in the middle of hell, because we were standing in the middle of this like burnt out. One of the reasons we picked the helipad was because everything had burnt around it. So there's no more fuel left, and except for us. So as long as we could keep ourselves up from catching on fire, we were going to be fine. You know, besides smoke inhalation and everything else, whatever else we sustained that day. But yeah, so when we moved there, I think around 2:00, CAL FIRE radioed up, and they were able to tell us like, hey, we can start getting a caravan together to get everyone down the hill. So you know, I got to I went over. We got people loaded up in like some sort of police van, and then back into the ambulances that were still running, and just got everybody moving down the hill. And like they're like maintain a lot of space, you know, in case you have to brake for anything. And this is literally when I told you we're like kind of going between like live wires, and it was that crazy visual of the electric pole like hanging from the wire. Like this giant electric pole on fire on the bottom. And you're just like, you're driving through this stupid little video game of like trying not to die. And we made it out. Somebody actually took a picture, like was like down the hill, and they sent me this picture of the Pandora, like, you know, me in the truck, like coming out with this like the town of Paradise like on fire behind us. And it was wild. I get down the hill, and I go out towards Orland, and I can't cross over on the main road between Orland and Chico, and I had to like use my Google Maps to find like a path through the farms, like through these like ranches and stuff. And I'm taking a dirt road between the two main highways, like that. You know, I don't know where the hell I am, except that I'm like, I need to go, you know, west. And so man. I'm just like, I'm driving across. I'm like, I need to get to my family. I was I don't think I was exposed as much to the smoke in the middle of that first area. So I had a list of like all of our team that was up there, and I brought it, and they had moved the incident command down to Chico. So I found out where that was, and I went there first, because if I went to see my family first, I wasn't going to come back. So I went there. I remember I walked in, and it's full chaos. Like people are at this point, people from Sacramento have come up from Adventist Health, and they've got like a full command center going. Everyone's talking on phones and on their laptops, and I walk in, like I feel like there's still smoke coming off of me, and everyone just goes silent. Like everything just stops. And you know, because I was one of the people that were trapped up there, so they're like, "What the hell are you doing alive?" Like. And
much less here.
They left it, you know, that was like, they left at 9, and this was now like 2:30 in the afternoon, and like the entire town, and like by every report, everything was just on fire.
I just imagine you like covered in soot, like walking.
It's just crazy. It was wild. Got my backpack on, like I still, like, and I'm waiting, and like in my head, I'm like, this is the time in my life when someone starts doing the slow clap. Like it didn't happen. That was my one opportunity. So, but the CFO did put his fist up like that, and I was like, okay, we're doing that. I was like, so people came up and hugged me. I reported off, you know, kind of told them what was going on. I sat for a moment and drank some water, and then I headed over to my in-laws' property, where my brother-in-law, where my family everyone ended up. My wife's family, they have like 4 homes up there in that town, so like everyone had congregated in this one house down in North Chico. And I pulled up, and without thinking about it, it was after that incident command meeting where I came out, and I was like, oh dude, the truck looks crazy with the town burning behind it, same color as the truck. I literally got down on my knee and snapped a couple pictures. And then I took off. But when I pulled up in front of my in-laws' house, I was like maybe 50 yards off the house. They have a pretty big property. My family's coming out, and then they see the truck, and I totally forgot that side of the truck looks like I was fried inside of it. And I immediately got out, and I was like, I'm okay. And like, everyone's just running towards me. My wife like runs and jumps and wraps her legs around me. And it was just, it was crazy. Like, it was a nice reunion, but I felt terrible.
Dude, so in between that time that you're like at the hospital to where you're back with your family, was there ever like a calm moment where you're just like on a regular road and there's like no more fire around you, and you're just like, well, shit.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. Because we're coming down that Pence Road, and eventually, pretty much where that person took the picture is when we're coming out of the fire. And now now the smoke is behind us, and like it's sunny again, like hazy but sunny. And yeah, like one of my friends, she actually lost her dad in that fire. She found out later, but she was pretty sure. She was trying to just get to Orville where she lived, she actually got out of the ambulance that she was in, and they wouldn't let her husband drive up to get her on the freeway because of the fire. And so she had to walk down this freeway just covered in soot, just bawling and like just this mess. Like it was just all these real stories of like just the I'm just gonna say like the shit people were going through.
Yeah. God, man, that's
but yeah, but it was like so yeah, like I was lucky. I was super lucky and all of that, you know, like for me, there was definitely a moment where I was like, okay, I can do this. We're like, now we're on like regular roads and stuff. I'm like, even this dirt road, I can do that. No problem. It's not on fire. So
yeah, that had to feel a little bit surreal. Like, wow, we just made it out of that.
There was a lot of weight, but it was a lot of, my whole body was like, I just remember like that tension my body held for like almost a month of just like, I've got to hold it together. I got to keep it together. Like, you know, because even that night, you know, I get home and I'm not changing out of the clothes, you know, like my wife's like, you need to get out of those clothes. And I'm like, I don't have any more clothes. Like all my clothes are in paradise. I'm wearing scrubs, like, you know? And so, I'm like, no, I need to go out and get a beer. Like, so I went out to CVS and got like a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Like I need to sit and I need to start calling because I'm like, now I need to know if everyone made it down. Like I need to know if everyone made it out. So
if ever there was a deserved beer, that was it, man.
I remember, I think I have a picture of just the beer sitting on the table somewhere.
Good for you, dude.
This is what I want right now. And so, yeah, I started calling and trying to find all the people that were working in the unit that day. And it took me like until 10 o'clock that night to finally find the last one. And then the next day was dedicated. I got up, they had washed all my clothes. So I put on the same clothes that I was wearing the day before, which I wore for the next 3 days until my wife hid them and put out clothes she got at Goodwill for me.
Man.
But I was going to the incident command every day, like, because now I'm trying to find the rest of my team, because a lot of them lived in paradise. So I need to make sure my whole team is alive. Like, you know, now we're talking about the people that weren't at work that day. And so I was able to find every single one. I don't think our hospital lost anyone in the fire. Like,
man, that's awesome.
You know, that lived in the community or anything.
So hold on a second. Your house and all your belongings were there in paradise as well, and that was all gone?
Yeah, we found out later. My brother-in-law works for he's National Guard, and he was leading the effort for the National Guard, where they were like literally up there to protect the property, whatever properties they could find from looters. Which, of course, you know, with every heroic thing that the entire town does, there's terrible people. And but yeah, he made sure to show me a picture of Kentucky Fried Chicken burned down to the ground. And then the next one he's like, you want to see something? And he sends me a picture of Kentucky Fried Chicken on my phone. And then it's like, the next one is like, bling, and I flip over and it's our house gone.
Oh no.
It was amazing.
Oh, that's some comedic timing, man.
Oh, dude, he did it on purpose. You know, he's military. I was sailor. It doesn't, you know, I get it. Like, but it was hilarious, actually. So you can see it was at first I was like, what's that? And you can see our front yard with the retaining wall and just nothing. Just nothing.
That's brutal, but,
you know,
man.
For me, the house part wasn't as painful. Like, you know, there's stuff in the house, definitely. Like, you know, I'm a songwriter. Like, a lot of my music and guitars were in there, like cheap guitars, but they were the ones I grew up with. And I think by far the thing that hurt the most is I lost my mom earlier that year. That was November. I lost her at like end of January. My mom's recipes. I'm half Filipino, and my mom's recipes were in like, and I know them, but like, you know, just having that writing had always been like, you know, just a little comfort. Out of the things I lost that I couldn't replace, that was probably the most painful one. But you know, every day, like when you lose everything like that, every day it'd be like, oh no, I don't have that. You're like, no, don't have that. It was a good like couple of years of that where you're like, finally, you're like, okay, I think we got through everything.
What a bummer, dude.
It's just life. But you know, everyone deals with their version of it.
Well, I'm glad to see that your spirits are in a good place, and good things happen to good people, man. Well, out of all that bad, something good did come out of it. So tell us about like that whole process. Like you're assessing the damage afterward. Like after all this, like you find out the house is gone.
Yeah.
You make sure all your friends and colleagues are okay. All that stuff is in order. Then you start to kind of do a bigger assessment. And one of those things that you're looking at is the truck, among other things. What happens next for you and your family?
Well, I mean, the bigger assessment, yeah, the truck is the truck. It's actually still running. It literally still running to this day. Like it starts right up and it's fine because Toyota has it now. But and every now and then they have me drive it or like
that's
like,
awesome.
Go to an event with it. But you have to realize, like, yeah, the house is gone.
Yeah.
The job is gone. It was on fire.
Yeah.
Like my wife's job is gone. My job is gone. Like, I don't know how long they're going to keep paying us for taking care of a team that no longer can work there.
Right.
So there was about 2 weeks of uncertainty going on of like, financially, I don't know what's going on.
And at that point you're staying with your in-laws?
Yeah, we're staying with in-laws. We stayed there for like a night. We moved out into like a little trailer. Like the next night we moved into a bigger, like kind of like pull behind trailer that with like four bed, like 3 beds in it, and like that we could stay in at night. And then we just kind of use in my brother-in-law's house, like to like kind of not be in a trailer. And I was in and out like during the day. Like there was a shooting that happened in like Thousand Oaks, like the day before the fire. And if actually in one of my pictures, you can actually see the NPR, like of the report of this. Nobody ever talked about it again. And so kind of since I didn't have another job besides making sure my team had all their information, I would do interviews because I wanted to keep it in the news cycle. I didn't want people to forget our town. And like, I wanted to keep it like in the people's eye. And every time I talked to someone, it would, keep that going, keep that momentum going to whatever group of people wants to hear me talk about it. And I was one of the good stories in it, like I was one of the positive stories, like at least initially, there's a ton of them, but initially I was one of the ones that like kind of peaked. So I was like, I'm going to use this to try to keep the town like in everyone's eyes. So like we get the funding, we get whatever we need,
right?
Like, and so that was kind of one of my jobs. But during some part of that time, I'm like on my phone and I'm like, I have my Tundra account on Instagram for the Pandra. And it was literally just something I used to kind of keep track of when I installed things. I used it more like a forum to find other people with Tundras. I'm like, oh, hey dude, I like that. Like, what'd you do? Like, what kind of offset did you do on the wheels? And all that to make that fit. And I had like 130 followers at the time. So it wasn't really anything. So I was like, hey guys, check this out. This is my Toyota commercial. I was literally writing it to those like 100 or so people that like drive Toyotas and Tundras. And somebody picked it up and I think they put it on Facebook. And I think I might've posted, I need to check the dates, but I think I posted a couple days after the fire, but by like, it just blew up. And then they were finding me on Instagram and it was just like, just blowing up. And full like classic viral, I guess now.
Yeah, what was that like? Were you just like opening your phone? It's like thousands of new followers. Like, whoa, holy crap!
Yeah, it was crazy. I started getting calls from like, somehow people are getting my number like from all over the world, and texts and whatever. So I just kind of kept my ringer off all the time, and I would just like look and see what was because it was just all the time. And at some point, I was getting hit up by every overland off-road whatever brand, like, hey, I want to give you this, we want to give you this. It was amazing, it was awesome and sweet, and just the off-road community and the companies, like just to see how supportive they were involved. It was amazing. And but I was like, I don't even have a place to put it, guys. It was such a weird position to be in. I'm like, I don't know if I can afford this truck, like, to myself. I'm like, I don't have a job anymore, like I can't afford the monthly payments on this truck. And, I wasn't telling him that, but I told him, like, I don't have a garage. I have nowhere to put this. Like, I thank you. I'll hit you up and, hopefully, you're still down when I have somewhere to put it. Yeah. But like right now, it's like, I couldn't even process it. It was just so many people were like, and in all this, my friends are hitting me up, like, and just being that's actually the takeaway. You're like, it's going to make me a better friend in the future, because my friends were so there and so present and like calling, and some of them drove up. You're like, we're just going to come up for like an hour and a half and like make sure you're okay and drop off some whiskey, and because they're a distiller, but yeah, like, and just be there and like be present, and that was amazing. Sorry, I'm all over the place, but either way,
no, it's all good, man. We wanted to hear your story, and this is all a part of it. It's a very like human story. I think it's cool, man. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Yeah, if human is ADD, like it's really human. so either way, like I'm hit by different companies that want to rebuild the truck, and like some that I follow that I've like bought stuff from, like STHQ and some other ones, and then Nick from Rockstar gets a hold of me, Rockstar Garage, which I think you guys have talked to him.
Yeah, a couple episodes back we talked to Nick. That's Nick Ashby, Rockstar.
Yeah, Nick Ashby from Rockstar Garage. But yeah, I just like what he had. Like, I, even though I'm not military, I did a sail with the Merchant Marines, United States Merchant Marines, and though I'm not military, I do respect them. My dad was Navy. My brother-in-law, like I said, was in the Army National Guard. And Nick had actually been in the National Guard. His actually unit was one of the ones based in Chico.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, like I think they're engineers or something. But he hit me up, and I just like what he had to say. You talk to him, he's got good energy and stuff. And but also, like, as a manager, I'm looking for people that do things better than me. And at that point, I was like, he's like, oh, we'll rebuild your truck. Da, da, da. I'm like, well, good, because I have nowhere to put stuff, or I have no tools to put things on, like nothing. I have no connections for that stuff. And then I think pretty soon after that, Toyota hit me up, and they had called, but I'd ignored it. It was just some call from Texas. And I'll maybe check the voicemails later, but like, and then they wrote me and, hey, this is Tyler from Toyota. Like, what do you, like,
that's crazy.
Do you have time to talk? Do you have time to talk? And I was like, what? And during this time, I'm like, something's going on. This is like getting huge. This is blowing up.
Yeah.
And, so I'm just interacting, talking back to people online, commenting like, hey, I'm good. Da, da, da. Thank you for whatever. Just being like thankful and grateful for all this good energy. Like, the internet's not really known for its positive energy. And like, of course, for every, like, at this point, like for every like 300 comments, you get some guy telling you about the green lasers that the government used to set fire to paradise. And I'm like,
yeah, all right.
So I was getting those kind of things, but I'm like,
I'm sure.
No, it's just fire and wind and fuel. So she hits me up. I like pull over. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like, she's like, hey, we just, we want to, help you out. You did amazing things with your truck, and we'd like to help you out. I don't remember exactly what she said, but basically she's like, but we don't want you to have to worry about having a truck. And so we want to give you a new Tundra. And I was just like, and even in all this, like, whoa, that's crazy. I'm like, but I did a lot of stuff to my Tundra. I don't, I was seriously like, but I got wheels and tires. I'm like, but how am I going to,
yeah.
I'm not trying to like, but I was really like that. I'm like, and what about taxes?
Yeah, like, yeah. Can I
keep
my
everything
wheels?
feels at this point everything feels like it could go wrong. Like, if I accept a truck like this, like, we're talking about $17,000 to $20,000 in taxes.
Yeah,
like that, and then I was just worried that I couldn't pay my monthly thing.
Right.
And so she's like, we'll take care of it. She was amazing. We'll take care of it. Well, just know that you got this. We'll deal with the rest later. And she's like, and she read what they were going to post on my Instagram post. And so that was the Toyota, don't worry about your truck. We'll take care of you, whatever. It was very cool. And they kind of gave me a choice between, like, we can rebuild a truck, or you can just get a TRD Pro and build it yourself and do whatever you want. And I already talked to Nick at Rockstar, so I was like, I'll take the TRD Pro and we'll go from there.
Awesome. So whenever you guys were in those talks, did they say, hey, you had selected the TRD Pro. Did they say, oh yeah, we want your old one back for like R&D or whatever?
They did say, this is how they, like, people think they forced me to do that. They're like, you can keep it, you can keep your truck, but we would like it.
Yeah.
we would like it. And I'm like, I mean, what are you guys going to do with it? And like, at first they were talking about doing R&D on it, but it was like, that's kind of an extreme situation, like,
right.
Like they don't need to R&D a truck for a full on like national disaster level forest fire. But but then they were seeing like how like the energy like this truck had. At first they were only going to display it at Toyota places. Like they had it at the headquarters, like in their headquarters, this giant like lobby area where everyone comes in where they can see it. Then they had it at TMMTX where they build Tundra, where that was like amazing. They even flew me down there to meet the crew, and they had like a bunch of the people that literally put my truck together, like in a room. That I got to meet them and thank them, and it was amazing. That was by far like one of my favorite parts, like actually meeting the teams that like cranked that, like the bolts and like assembled that truck in a way that I didn't die.
I think it's really cool, and I don't know if you agree, but I think it's really cool that you have this this like mobile sculpture that is like a reminder or like a testament of a lot of people's I don't know if you want to use the word heroism, but just like heroic acts or like extraordinary acts of that day, right? Like people really coming together and like providing care, like we were talking about earlier. It's just like a monument to that. It's really cool.
Yeah, and even just personally, like, everyone's looking for, not everyone, but like people like talk about legacy. I'm like, I'll always have that. When my grandkids look up, they'll be like, oh, grandpa did something good, whatever, stuff like that. And just to have this symbol, like, when I talk, I'm not the guy that saved paradise. I'm one face of like the 20 something people of my hospital team that were up there and just kicking ass and like making people, reducing their anxiety and like making them feel safe. And literally while the entire world is in flames around them, we're making people laugh and like giving them granola bars and Gatorade for the people that aren't like really hurt or anything. And just, it was a very proud moment that day, just to see my team and my hospital get every single patient down that hill, like safely, like even in the midst of like little actual ambulances catching on fire, they got everyone down the hill.
Well, man, I, for one, I'm sure you've been thanked, thousands of times, but, as someone who provides care to others in your own community and just, to humankind in general. Thank you, man. That's awesome. To you, your team, everybody that was there that day. I mean, to provide comfort and care to people is admirable in and of itself. But under those conditions, it's even more extraordinary. So good on you, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. So tell me about once you guys partnered with Rockstar and Toyota and like how all those partnerships were formed and came together, what you guys decided to do.
Well, the Toyota partnership, they would bring me to like, meet. I got to meet the Team MTX team. I got to go to the dealer meeting, and they did this huge, like they opened up the entire US dealer meeting with the truck and the story like of this cut together piece where people were like in tears. And then they bring me on stage with the truck coming out in this giant like arena in Vegas. The truck's coming out behind me and I'm walking on stage in front of it. It was just epic beyond, on the same stage that like, later that day, like Blake Shelton is like playing on. Like it was crazy. But with Rockstar, it was, it's kind of, I chose Rockstar. One of the many reasons is because they do events and like they go wheeling. And so it forces me into adventure. When I left that hospital, I had like 250 hours of vacation because I was like, oh, it's almost ready. Then I'll go on vacation. Almost there. And then we'll go on vacation. And I just kept building up and I lost all that vacation. They cashed it out and taxed the hell out of it, but I didn't get that time, which is what I really wanted. Right. And so it was kind of this force like, oh, you're going to go to SEMA. Oh, you're going to go to Wheeling Bishop. You're going to go Wheeling, Utah. because that's part of the deal with Rockstar, that you're going to these events and representing them and yourself and whatever. So it's just amazing. And I get to meet all these people in the off-road community. For me, like I get to nerd out on their vehicles and stuff while they're looking at mine. So that's what Rockstar meant to me. And also I get to partner with these brands that in Temecula, but like in Riverside, I grew up around Mickey Thompson. I grew up around K&N. And like, just like, you're like, wow, I get K&N hats from K&N,
Yeah,
like,
sure.
it's wild when I get to like, Mickey Thompson and KMC wheel. You're like, these people want to put their stuff on my truck. Like it was crazy. And to get to work with those kind of partners, and like Bullet Liner, who did, I don't know if you've seen the outside of my truck, but it's all,
it's
the
awesome.
entire truck is like lined in bed liner. So when I scratch my trees, everyone else is like this, and I'm like,
No, that's awesome, man. And then you guys did it like in the same pattern as your old truck was like kind of burnt and melted a little bit, right?
They originally did that way as kind of a surprise to me, but I was like, you know what, guys, I can't be driving around in a burnt looking truck. If anyone could get away with it, it would be me, but I didn't want to live that life. So we did we used that color that they work so hard on, and like we traced it out. So, we did it more stylized by putting the Pandra thing over it. So if you see the Pandra, there's still that color ombre of the fire on the side, like in the actual lettering.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's rad looking. I mean, I walk up to it in the parking lot still, and I'm like, whoa, that's, because most of the time I'm driving inside of it, so I don't see it like the way other people see it.
No, it's tough, man. It's a really tough looking truck. Like your old one was really cool, and it was like a pretty I don't want to say typical build, but it was like, you had some nice big 35-inch tires on it and stuff. But then once you got this one going, you like up the ante even more. Yeah. You're on 40s, right?
Yeah,
I think
40s, 40 by 14.5-inch tires.
And those are massive Mickey Thompsons. Yeah. And then the truck itself, like full-size trucks nowadays are just, they're big vehicles. So then you put that thing on top of 40s. What kind of lift do you have on there?
I've got a BDS lift on there. It's a subframe type lift. I initially went with a medium travel because it's my daily. Like I literally, like if it's raining, I drive to work in that if I'm not riding my bike. So and my wife will drive it around. So I wanted something that wasn't going to flop over like long travel or anything. Although the goal for the truck is definitely to get it on long travel. And if I can figure out a way to keep the 40s just for fun. I mean, it's my adventure vehicle.
Do you have glass fenders and bedsides?
No. So
really?
So Rockstar actually trimmed all that out with the lines of the truck. So it looks like very almost, that's why people are like, oh, I want to do 40s. I'm like, it's a lot of work. It's like, it's not just it's not just having the right offset.
Yeah, exactly.
And so no, if you'd have to sit it next to another Tundra to see like how much of the firewall came back, and like he trimmed it exactly with the lines of the truck.
So it went back. I see what you're saying. That's interesting.
So actually that's all the original walls of the original side fenders and stuff.
It looks fantastic, man. And then
he did an amazing job on that one.
Do you have like a custom front bumper, or did you guys trim that down?
The bumper is Addictive Desert Designs, ADD.
Okay.
And then the rear bumper is the one that everyone always asked about because it had a swingaway, and at the time, they didn't have a swingaway available for the Tundra, and so Rockstar works with CBI off-road up in Idaho, and so CBI allowed us to put their swingaways on the ADD bumper.
Oh, cool. Rear. Yeah.
So we fabbed up like mounts and stuff. They fabbed up mounts at Rockstar. So I actually have a swingaway on this bumper that normally doesn't have swingaways because I couldn't keep the 40-inch tire in the bed because it would take up the whole bed.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you also have a bed rack on there now, right?
Yeah, that's CBI as well. I got one of their first. I think I got their first one. It was the R&D, and I destroyed it with my wheeling. And so I got all the parts that they put on them now, which is just like put a couple triangles up front, and repowder coated it, fixed, replaced all the broken parts, and it's like rock solid.
It's awesome, man. Do you have a rooftop tent up there now?
Yeah, I got CVT, which that company is is amazing. Their customer service. I was going to buy their tent like that summer before the fire. I literally drove by their place in Bend, and I told my wife, I'm like, we're going to have one of their tents on top of our truck someday. And
Is
now
it the
I'm like, now I'm friends with the people that run it, everything, and they're just an amazing company.
Dude, that's so cool. I'm stoked for you and the off-road community that like you're developing all these relationships, because your story's so cool, and then your truck is awesome too. So just the more awareness that you get out about it is really cool. Is that rooftop tent a pop-up style or a fold-out style?
The current one I have, I had one that popped straight up. The current one I have is clamshell, and it's based off of like as a child setting up tents was this nightmare in my brain, and so every tent I it's always easy. Like like I get a Gazelle tent. Decathlon hooked me up with one of their just amazing. You literally pull two cords and the tent opens like an umbrella from the outside. And then this tent, I have it open right now because I'm airing. They just gave me one of their new ones. You flip the things and then you push it up a little bit and the entire tent pops up.
That's sick.
And like on gas shock. So it's with tents, and it's from a very like dealing with my military dad setting up like those old canvas tents. I was like, every tent I will ever own will always be easy.
No, I totally agree, dude. I think like the rooftop tent kind of like movement, if you will, has been like one of the greatest things for overland and just like camping in general. Because I was like a tent guy, right? Like out there with the poles, like setting it up. Sucked. So then I got a camper on my truck, and I was like, this isn't so great either. And now I have like an OG Smitty built, like the kind that folds out. And it's cool. I like the hard shell a little bit more just for the aesthetic, but this thing serves my purpose so well. I love them.
I know, it's just the ease of use and just having it right there. Like because a lot of times when we go camping, we're like, oh, let's go out to here and do a trail, or like go out to the beach, and I can just like literally pull it down, tuck it in, and clip it, and leave like the rest of the stuff there, and then come back and like deploy it all again in like under 30 seconds if I really wanted to. Plus, I can actually push the tent up and clip, boom, and it's open.
You also get like the added benefit of like, feeling like a little bit of a kid again, right? Climbing up in the ladder.
kind of feeling like a kid. Like that whole truck, the whole vehicle's a toy box for us grown-ups.
Definitely, dude.
Little kids are like, wow, look at that. But dads are just as much. They're like, wow. And I'm not even talking, it might as well be someone else's truck the way I look at it sometimes.
Definitely.
It is truly our way to still play.
For sure, man. That's what all of this is about. What would you say is your favorite part about the build now that you're like, I don't know, I guess they're never done, but it's a pretty built truck at this point.
Mm-hmm. The Mickey Thompsons, like I thought the 40-inch tires, I was getting them, just aesthetically. Like I was getting them because I was going to be sitting next to the Rockstar rigs. And I don't know if you've probably seen Gridlock at this point.
Yeah.
Gridlock's on like 46s, I think.
Yeah. Massive.
And then the other rigs are on 43s and stuff now. Like they've got little Toyota Tacomas on 43s. And I was like, I told him, I was like, first I was going to go with 37s. I'm like, dude, if I'm going to be sitting next to you guys at any point, I need to be on 40s. And he was messing with me. That was always the plan for him. And so, so I think the 40s, and not because of the looks like you would think, and I didn't really want I actually want the truck to become lower at some point when I go to long travel and stuff. But the rolling resistance, like just rolling over things, and the 40-inch tires make me way better of a wheeler than I am. Like they roll over everything, and the amount of like when those 14s are like all spread out when I air them down, I have like massive amounts of traction and everything. And so, I think the 40s have been like some of my favorite part.
That's awesome. They definitely give it like a crazy look to it. Like, wow, that's a massive truck. It's like a monster truck. Yeah. I dig the way it looks. Do you mountain bike at all?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I actually do that way more than I will.
Yeah. I wouldn't call myself a mountain biker, but I do like mountain biking, and like when you're describing the rolling resistance, I immediately go there, right? Riding like a 29 versus like a 26 or 27 and a half.
Yeah.
And I just like it a lot more for that very reason.
Yeah, I have actually a Trek full stash, which is not like the carbon fiber or whatever, but it's this. It's kind of it. Once you see it, check it out later. But it's kind of like a mountain bike version of my truck. It's like it's fully suspended, like aluminum frame, and then just massive like these 3-inch wide, 29-inch tires.
That's awesome, man.
And like my buddies are like, like, and I'm like, just I pick a completely different line than them. It's amazing.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. Well, you have the perfect rig to go do that. You mentioned earlier you like to do a little bit of recreational shooting, I guess.
Well,
some mountain biking.
I have a CCW and everything, so it's
right on.
It's all part of the training and everything.
Yeah, no doubt. But just the fact that like you're outdoors, it suits your lifestyle.
Yeah.
So that's cool, man. Where can people like find out more about like events that you're going to be at, where they can actually check out your truck, stuff like that?
Well, I kind of, I dabbled in Facebook, and I just can't even be on Facebook really much. So I just stick everything on Instagram. Like I'll do Instagram. Rockstar Garage, they have their own Facebook presence, and Instagram and everything. They do the Great American Crawl. I wasn't able to make a couple of the events, but they're going to be in Moab next, I think around Easter, for the EJS around then. And then they go all over the United States and do rock crawling events.
Very cool.
We're slowly getting some more overlanders in the Rockstar group, so we've been doing that. I think a bunch of the companies have overland builds like R1 and Power Tank, although they're Power Tank Gladiator, Jeeps, and are pretty badass rock crawlers too.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, like any of the brands that I work with, but also Rockstar Garage and Nick's page and Gridlock's page and everything. Those are always the good ways to find everything. It's not the most organized, like where you find like a calendar. But I
get you. Just keep up to date. Just check your posts.
I get you. The sites every now and then. I'll say like, or I'll be on my story and be like, "Hey, I'm headed to Utah." Like,
we'll drop your a link to your page and the Rockstar page in the comments section. But I'm curious, Allyn. Okay, so you go through this whole process. You build the new truck. You mentioned, after all that happened, you weren't sure what was going to happen with your like employment and stuff. Where are you? What, a year and a half later? What's going on with Mr. Pierce now?
So about a month after the fire, almost to the day, I got an interview for the local hospital in Chico. So Chico's the big town, has the Chico State, the Cal State school, and then Paradise is like 20 minutes out of that town, like up in the woods. Chico's amazing town. It's actually where I spent most of my time, because Paradise is a very small town, and moving from San Diego to Paradise was the culture shock beyond culture shock, So we now live in Chico. That's where I'm at right now. And I work at the hospital there. About a month after the fire, I got an interview, and I was like, all I've got is like a flannel that I got, in like some jeans. They're like, just show up and whatever. And I remember they asked me, first question was like, so why do you want to work here? I'm like, I don't want to work here.
I need a job.
I'm like, but I need a job, and my buddy works with you guys, and he says it's a good place to work, and I believe him. But by the end of it, two of the charge nurses were like crying, like,
oh god,
because I'm like barely on it, and like I'm not in any condition to be interviewing, but like I need to start working before the money from the other hospital stops coming, and so we just keep moving forward, because my whole thing in life is like, it kind of worked out with the truck, but like you always fail up. You always like upgrade. Like our friends, you wreck this, you get something better. You do this, you do better. So it was all about like just keeping moving forward to keep that momentum in life, And so I work pre-op, post-op at the local at Enloe Hospital. So it's the biggest hospital in the area. There was 3 hospitals: Feather River, where I worked, Enloe, and Oroville. So Enloe's the Chico hospital. I work for them. I get people ready for surgery, and I wake them up on the other side. So I get to use my ICU skills on the post side when they wake up from surgery, and I get to use my assessment skills, from years of nursing on the pre side to make sure they're safe to go to surgery.
That's awesome, man. What did your wife end up following to the same hospital?
She is not working there yet, but she went back to school. She was working at
Cool.
at a hospital down in Marysville, like about an hour out of town, like just a little bit, because she does a lot of the organizing the family and stuff, the hard part of our life.
Right.
She does the hard work, but she's also went back to school to be a midwife. She's been a labor and delivery nurse for like 20 years. And
wow, okay.
So now she wants to deliver babies like regularly. So
that's awesome, man.
Like she just was telling me she just passed another test with 100%, which I want to be more excited, but she's just kind of that smart.
Dude, Allyn, you guys have such a heartwarming story. That's so cool, man. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Like, I'm so glad that it worked out for you guys. I know that we're probably glossing over a lot of like the tribulations that you guys faced during that time. But it's good to actually be able to sit down here and talk to you, that you made it out of that whole situation and came out on the other side. I don't know, for the better, but
No, it's always for the better. Always shooting higher.
Yeah,
like we're not going to be held down.
Good for you, man. Good for you. As we kind of wrap things up here, I just again want to say thank you. Really appreciate it. And I can't say that enough.
It's been a pleasure, dude. It's really easy to talk to you. And as much as I've talked about this, it's like, I'm still just trying to get that story out, keep our town going.
No, definitely. So yeah, that's a good question, actually. Before we do wrap up, so how has it been in the town ever since all that stuff happened? Are they like rebuilding or like,
there
are you involved in that at all?
I'm not involved in that. We still have our property up there, and we don't know what we're going to do with it. I just wanted to see how they handled the build. See how the town handles it and like what's going to happen. We're not moving back up there because I need to be within half an hour of the hospital.
Right.
But I am supportive of that town, like rebuilding and hopefully correcting a lot of the issues that it had going into this fire and going into and just operating as a town. So
gotcha.
I'm just curious, you go up there and it's still flat. Like there's no tree, a lot of trees gone, a lot of landscapes. I remember one of our friends went up there. They grew up there just like my wife did. And she's like, I didn't know where I was in the town. She's, she's in her 40s and she didn't know where she was in the town because nothing.
No landmarks,
yeah. So
good Lord.
So you go in areas and you have to I just be on GPS to know where to turn on our street because some giant tree that used to be there is not there anymore, and and all these houses are gone. So yeah. It's wild. It's wild. It's not even really sad as much as shocking. Like even going up there now is just shocking. And then houses are coming up, but people are dealing with like $10,000 fire insurance like a year and stuff, and just crazy things.
Man, well, but you guys are in Chico right now, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we bought a house in Chico, and everything just kind of fell into place, and we have a great house, and my kids are going to really good schools, and it's been rad.
Good for you, Allyn. That's awesome, man. Good for you and your family. I'm so glad it all worked out for you. Cool, man. Well, hey, Allyn, thanks again one last time, man. We really appreciate it. I wish you the best. If we can ever do anything to help you out, please let us know.
I'm good, dude. This is just a good conversation. Thanks a lot.
Definitely, dude. By designing, engineering, and building the most powerful, reliable, and advanced centrifugal superchargers on the market, ProCharger's been the industry's leading aftermarket supercharger manufacturer for 25 years. No matter if you're looking for 3,500 plus horsepower for a record-setting Pro Mod, or looking for a DIY system for your street car, truck, or motorcycle, ProCharger has the perfect supercharger system for you. For more information on all the amazing ways you can bolt on 40, 50, 60, or even 100% more power to your ride, visit procharger.com. The Pandra, everyone. Allyn Pierce. Man, thanks again, Allyn. That was a lot of fun. Greg, what can I say, man? I'm speechless.
Dude, there's not much you can say. That's amazing. To be in a situation where the fire is sucking so much oxygen out that a car won't run, that it would kill a car.
Yeah, that's nuts, dude. I wanted to like ask him to elaborate on that, but I honestly I don't know enough about the science involved to formulate like the kind of question that I wanted to ask him about it. If that makes sense. Uh, like I guess the question would be, man, at what point does a car not, is a car not able to run anymore because it doesn't have any oxygen because there's fire burning it?
The thing is too, I mean, in that kind of environment, it could have been a million other things. I mean, you have cars that are catching up, flame
Yeah.
from non-flame, just from the ambient heat. So like it could have been a million things. It could have melted coils. It could have, it melted wiring. It could have been anything, obviously his Toyota did great. I mean, that's seriously a huge testament to just the quality of modern vehicles, right?
Yeah, man. I remember watching it and I was like totally impressed then. I'm even more impressed now. They always talk about like people being in the right place at the right time or whatever. And at first I kind of chalked it up as he was telling his story to like something like that. Like, oh, well, I mean, he just happened to be the right person there at the right time. But I think more so than that, like there's and I'm going to butcher the quote, but there's Mike Tyson once said something like, it doesn't matter who you are. Every person has like a moment in their life where they get to shine, right? Where that's their moment, and they get to shine, right? It sounds like for Allyn that that was one of those moments for him. Like he got to lead his crew and really help some people and provide comfort and care to people who would otherwise have been up a creek, man. So,
I mean, can you imagine wandering into a hospital to find it like locked up? Like, holy crap. Man. If they hadn't
you go there. Right? Yeah, you go there like seeking help and stuff, and there's no one there, but they were there. And that was like, I think possibly my favorite part of that story when he's describing setting up like the outdoor hospital, and providing care for those people. I think that was like my favorite part of the story.
I just picture radar running around,
Yeah, no, that's exactly where my mind went whenever he was describing that. I was like, oh, like MASH, that's so cool. But anyways, man, thanks again to Allyn. If you guys have questions for Allyn, we still do have his contact, so drop them in the comment section below. We'll be able to reach out to him. And of course, check out his Instagram page. That's _Pandra, Pandra on Instagram. And give him some likes and a follow. And check out Rockstar Garage and say what's up to our buddy Nick Ashby over there, who actually put us in contact with Allyn. Thanks, Nick. But Greg, as we wrap up here, actually, let's take a quick moment to thank our sponsors. As always, we want to give a huge shout out to ProCharger, ARP, Performance Distributors, and Liqui Moly. Without their help, it would be difficult for us to continue doing the show. And so, head over to their respective websites. They'll be in the description, and their links will be in the description below. Greg, what's going on in Engine Labs? I know we're a couple weeks ahead, but if you can forecast a little bit, what's going on over there?
Let's see. We've got some fun stuff. I'm not sure if it'll be up by now, but I'm comfortable spilling a little bit. There's an article that I'm putting together with EFI University about an NA-10.5 class small block Ford. NA-10.5 being basically Pro Stock Junior for like street cars. But this thing, there's not a lot of details that I can share, but there's a lot more than you would expect in it. That should be.
Well, you and Ben Strader over there have a really great working relationship, right? Is that who you're working with to put this together?
Yeah. Ben is just an awesome dude to work with. He very much has the mentality of I'm not in this business to find information that I then hide. Like, his business is education. So when he figures something out on the dyno or Spintron or any one of his, different diagnostic tools that he has, in his playground, he shares it. Now, like with this story, obviously it's still a current competitive heads up race program. So we can't show everything, but I'm not going to lie, when I'm there and I'm taking pictures and I'm like, okay, maybe he won't, he's like pushing things towards me to take pictures of that I thought were off limits.
Well, that's trust.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not trust. He's like, publish it. Like, it's not, oh, you can take this picture, just don't show it to anybody. He's like, publish it. Cool. He's like, you cool, want cam specs? Here you go.
What? That's awesome.
Like, so yeah, I mean, anytime I get to work with Ben on something, it's always awesome. And that's why I try to work with him on my stuff too. He's great at conveying information. And I think that's something that, there's plenty of really smart people in the world, but finding a really smart person who can also properly convey information,
for sure.
That's a very special combination of talents.
Yeah, no doubt. We happen to be the in-between, I think. Sometimes our job, at least maybe for me, I can't speak for you, but, is talking to really, really smart people, kind of breaking down whatever it is they're trying to say and putting it in a more digestible kind of platform for people to wrap their head around.
Yeah. And the thing is, if Ben wanted to, he could write all of his own stories. Like, he can convey that. He could put us out of business. He could just do his own thing. Fortunately, I should say, for us, he is really, really busy. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's too busy to do all that. But that's cool, man. I'm glad you guys got something going. As for Street Muscle, we're a little bit ahead, but I think by the time this airs, rather, we'll have a couple project updates. So that's pretty cool. Project Payback, that's the Pro Touring GTO that's on Street Muscle. The latest will be the Connect and Cruise, the LT4 and the T56 Magnum article that details the swap and everything that entails. And then also a Holley accessory drive and oil pan swap to make all that fit. There's an accompanying article as well. And then on some of the projects that I'm in charge of, we have Project Phoenix. That's the 68 Firebird. By the time this airs, we'll have a Mosier muscle pack. That's a Ford 9-inch, a fabricated 9-inch, really tricky unit.
That's their bolt-in like kit, right? Like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, dude. That one I was so stoked on because I've had that car for a really long time. It's a personal project car of mine. And it's been so embarrassing, dude. It's got a built LS1 under the hood. It sounds amazing. And people always like goad me on to do burnouts and stuff. And I always do, but I've been relegated to this like one wheel peel for so long, dude. So as soon as we got done doing that rear end swap from Mosier, I just did a fat smoky burnout, dude. And it was so much fun because I laid 2 patches for the first time. And I was always like, why? I was like, why did this car not have posi track to begin with?
So what'd you go with? I don't know if we're spoiling anything, but I want to know what guts are in the rear end.
No, it's not a spoiler. Well, I guess technically it is a spoiler alert. No, because the article will be out. It's a Eaton True Track. 3.
Those are the stuff.
It's either 370 gears or 323s. I'll have to check the paperwork again. But I wanted something that was good for highway cruising, but also more peppy than what would have been in there before. Anything would be better than what was in there before. But also too, for the type of driving that car is being built for, like short course autocross type driving. I wanted something that was going to engage second gear on that 4L60 a lot sooner than would have been before. So that combined with the 26-inch tall rear tires, we should have a pretty potent little combination.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to sell me. My black car's a 26-inch rear tire with 370s and a true track, and
yeah, man, there you go.
It's a great combo, man. I remember putting the true track in after a locker, because originally the car was going to be like a pretty dedicated drag car, so we did a locker. In the not so great roads around here, the locker tried to kill me. It just it wasn't the right call. But seriously, putting the true track in just changed the car. It made it a street car again. It was amazing. Like that I can't say enough good things about the true track. And they're not even a sponsor. I'm serious. Like,
well, Eaton is one of my sponsors. They're a fantastic company. They make a great product. And so Strange is also another company that we work with. And we have a center section in a 9-inch that's in under Snake Eyes, actually, the 72 Monte Carlo project.
Is that an S track? Isn't, because there's the true track, the S track, and the wave track. Like, come on, guys! Why are you all saying the same thing? Like, come on.
I want to say it's the S track, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to get back to you on that. But it's a Strange center section, and I forgot where I was going with this, Greg. But
just that helical differentials are the awesome sauce.
Oh, yes, they are. But no, you were saying that your car got a little squirrely when you had the locker. So did Snake Eyes, big, heavy first gen Monte Carlo, and I had a mini spool in there for a while. And I was daily driving this thing for a while, and it was like
drifter. Like, you might as well have a welded diff. Jeez.
Well, basically, that's what it is. You're just locking it all together, and
it's just a way to church it up. What is it? Don't church it up, boy. It's a churched up welded diff.
Exactly. And it was so sketch. Damp roads, like in the morning time, when like the marine layer wasn't quite lifted yet. Oh, yeah, it was like a lot of fun, but also, if I hadn't had my morning coffee yet, it was like, oh, okay, that kind of woke me up.
I mean, you want to know one of the dumbest things I think I ever did? And this is just because nobody ever told me not to do it. I used cruise control with a locking diff. Well, the whole thing is it locks and unlocks when you come on and off the throttle. And in a 1994 cruise control module, there's nothing smooth about that. So it's like,
it was just like bang, like,
yeah. So it's on and off the throttle, and I was like, okay, can't do that. Like, wish somebody had told me that.
Did it damage anything?
No, it just scared the crap out of me. When I decided it was time to give it up, there's a part where, driving home, where it's like a decreasing wet radius kind of sweeper. It's really not bad. Beautiful day out, nothing, no road wet or anything, no impairments. And coming down that, because different wheel speeds and whatever, for whatever reason, I just touched the gas, it decided to lock up and it changed lanes on me. Like, it just shot me over. Jamie happened to be in the car with me, so there was a witness that it wasn't anything I did. But when it changed lanes, I was like, nope, I'm done. This is trying to kill me.
You're the Mustang guy. You're the quintessential Mustang guy.
I shouldn't have put a locker in
it. Yeah, that's what every guy at all those like Cars and Coffees, whenever he like jumps a curb and breaks an axle or something. Well, I shouldn't have put nitrous in it. It was that damn short shifter. I shouldn't have put it in there.
Well, but that's the thing now. The True Track will handle stupid amounts of power, and it drives like it did stock. Like, it's gorgeous. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's what's cool, man. And then they don't wear out like the friction style.
Yeah, like the clutch pack stuff, because it's all just helical gears.
Exactly. I mean, it's a really interesting concept, and like the way, like I've seen like some CAD drawings and like 3D models of them working. And it's like, wow, that's so simple. Like, I guess probably technology just didn't allow it to be as available to the masses. But it's like, why don't they just do that to begin with, man?
Well, it's probably expensive. I mean, let's be honest. Like all those gears, having to be machined versus clutch packs or what? I mean, OEM costs probably $10 for a full set of clutches that go in the back.
Exactly. But I mean, dude, you save that money in the maintenance,
Yeah, but the company, the OEM doesn't pay for maintenance. I'm
not talking about the OEM. It's like, I mean, how long have these the helical type differentials been prevalent?
I mean, as long as I can remember. I mean, granted, that's not, I'm not dipping back into the days of the posi and stuff, but
yeah, but they've been expensive, like out of reach.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely more expensive than the Eaton posi, because the Eaton posi's what? I mean, they're like what, $500-$600?
Yeah, but even now you can get a true track for $7.
But you got to remember, I mean, some people I know I certainly have been in a situation where $100 on a project really is the difference between it happening and it not. Like,
I get you.
I've been in that situation where people were like, "Oh, it's only $50." I'm like, $50 right now is the difference between me doing this and me not doing this. Like,
yeah, but the practical side of me says, okay, well then don't do it and save up and then do it.
Yeah, and then the realist part of me then spends that money on something else.
Yeah, no, hey, look, I'm
I'm just saying, I mean, I'm not claiming to be, Tony Robbins or whatever when it comes to money, but
yeah, no, look, I'm not the guy that wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, but but no, I get what you're saying, dude. I'm just saying they've become a lot more affordable.
Absolutely, they have. And honestly, I mean, I would even go so far as to say I don't know if the locker has a place anymore. Like in like you should go probably from a true track to a spool, I would think.
Well, yeah, but they haven't caught up to and I don't think, maybe it's not so much as catching up. I think it's more demand, right? So there are those oddball rear ends that like you're not going to find a helical style diff for, just because it doesn't make sense for the company to like engineer it because they already have a product in place with a clutch style. And so, so we probably won't see those like for like a GM 10 bolt. I tried for a while to find a helical style, but I had the 8.2 inch, not the 8.5 inch. And so it was like impossible to find one. So I ended up going with like a Eaton posi unit, and it'll serve me well,
Yeah, I guess I speak from, you want to talk about privilege, right? I speak from the Ford lineup of, we have everything you could ever want made for our platform. So yeah, I guess that opinion does come from a place of privilege, and that is having every single option you could want, because I don't have a 1969 Buick special mid-year crazy, oh, well, this was when they found 27 different housings that were like prototypes, but they put them in cars anyway. So good luck.
Careful, dude. There's going to be like that one guy who's like, that's not right, Greg. I've had one of those for 20 years. And no.
There's
if you're that person,
Ford 9-inch goes in everything.
It's true, man. It's true. There's one in my Firebird. There's one in the Monty. I think the only one that doesn't have is the new Camaro, and that's because it wouldn't fit.
But I'm sure there's a kit. I'm sure Strange or Mosier or somebody has a kit to put a 9-inch in that.
Mosier definitely does. But that one's staying independent rear. I wouldn't put a live axle in that thing.
There's somebody had it at one of the trade shows, the independent rear 9-inch. Somebody had it.
Yeah, but well, okay. So that particular car, the 5th gen Camaro, if any car needed one, it would be that car, because those are like notoriously weak rear ends, unless it's a ZL1 or whatever. Anyways,
wow, we took a hard right turn, huh?
Yeah. Everybody, go check out streetmusclemag.com. Go check out enginelabs.com. Check out powerautomedia.com and all of the titles underneath that banner. Give us a like, comment, subscribe. Hit the comment section. Leave us a comment about what you liked about this episode, what you want to see in the next episode, who you want us to have on the show. And other than that, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. We wouldn't do this if it weren't for you guys. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, the whole deal. And hit that notification bell. Thanks. Peace.